Jezebel's name has echoed through centuries as a symbol of defiance, power, and downfall. But behind the reputation lies a dramatic story woven through the Book of Kings, a story of political ambition, spiritual conflict, and divine justice. Her life was not just a tale of a cruel queen, it was a collision between two worlds, the worship of Baal and the worship of the God of Israel. And it began long before she ever set foot in Samaria. Jezebel was born a princess of Sidon, daughter of King Ethbaal, a high priest of Baal who had risen to the throne. From childhood, she was trained in royal diplomacy, temple rituals, and the politics of a coastal empire. In Sidon, Baal worship was not merely religion, it was culture, identity, and the very rhythm of life. Jezebel grew up believing she was chosen by the gods, destined to influence kingdoms beyond her homeland. When Ahab, son of Omri, became king of Israel, an alliance with Sidon promised wealth, trade, and military advantage. To cement the pact, Jezebel was given to Ahab in marriage. When she traveled south to her new kingdom, she brought with her priests, servants, idols, and the unshakable ambition of a queen who believed she carried divine authority. Ahab was a capable ruler, but often weak-willed and impressionable. Jezebel, however, was decisive, fierce, and accustomed to power. When she entered the palace of Samaria, she immediately saw a kingdom divided in loyalty, unsure of its identity. She believed she had come to correct it, and for Jezebel, correcting meant transforming Israel into a land devoted to Baal. She persuaded Ahab to build a temple for Baal in the heart of Samaria. Priests and prophets of Baal flowed into the kingdom by the hundreds. Altars rose on the hillsides, incense burned, and ritual feasts filled the air with music. Jezebel felt she was shaping Israel into a new Sidon, but her influence did not end there. She despised the prophets of the God of Israel. To her, they were stubborn men resisting progress, preventing unity, challenging her authority. One by one, she hunted them, driving many into hiding. Those who remained loyal to the Lord were forced into caves, relying on secret supporters like Obadiah, who risked his life to feed them. In those dark days, a prophet emerged, fierce, unpredictable, and fearless. His name was Elijah the Tishbite. He strode into Ahab's court and announced a divine judgment. There shall be neither dew nor rain these years, except by my word. For a kingdom dependent on agriculture, a drought was a death sentence. Jezebel raged at Elijah's prophecy, but he vanished into the wilderness. The skies closed, the earth dried, and famine stalked the land. Every attempt to find Elijah failed. Jezebel burned even hotter with fury, determined to crush any remnant of the Lord's prophets. Years passed. The drought worsened. And then, one day, Elijah returned. He demanded that Ahab gather all Israel and the prophets of Baal atop Mount Carmel. Jezebel, though not present, was confident her priests would triumph. 850 prophets stood before the crowd, calling on Baal from morning until evening. They danced, shouted, and cut themselves. But Baal did not answer. Then Elijah rebuilt the ruined altar of the Lord. He called out a single prayer. Fire fell from the sky, consuming the offering, the stones, and even the water around it. The people fell on their faces, crying out, "The Lord, He is God!" The prophets of Baal were seized and executed. When Jezebel heard what had happened upon the mountain, her fury was volcanic. She sent a message to Elijah. "By this time tomorrow you shall be as one of them." It was a direct death threat, bold, proud, and full of royal rage. But Elijah fled into the wilderness, discouraged and weary. Jezebel believed she had driven him away forever. But the drought ended, and God continued to move through his prophets. Jezebel, however, tightened her grip. She ruled Samaria with iron will, influencing Ahab in every decision. Wealth flowed into the palace. Baal worship continued, and Jezebel began to involve herself even in the legal affairs of the kingdom. One day Ahab noticed a vineyard belonging to a man named Naboth. The king wanted it for a garden, but Naboth refused, honoring the ancient laws that forbade selling ancestral land. Ahab returned to the palace angry and depressed. When Jezebel heard the story, she scoffed at her husband's weakness. "Is this how you act as king over Israel? Get up, eat food, and be cheerful. I will give you the vineyard of Naboth." She wrote letters in Ahab's name, sealed them with his seal, and devised a sinister plan. Naboth was falsely accused of blasphemy and stoned to death by the elders of the city. When the news reached the palace, Jezebel told Ahab to claim the vineyard. But as Ahab walked into the stolen land, Elijah appeared. He confronted the king with God's judgment, both for the murder of Naboth and the idolatry of Israel. Ahab was shaken and repented, humbling himself before God. Jezebel, however, was unmoved. Her heart remained hardened, convinced that Baal and her royal authority made her untouchable. Years later, Ahab was killed in battle, fulfilling part of Elijah's prophecy. Jezebel's son Ahaziah became king, followed by another son Joram. Jezebel continued to exert her influence, still powerful, still defiant. Her palace remained a stronghold of Baal worship. Yet judgment was drawing near. God commanded a warrior named Jehu to bring justice upon the house of Ahab. Jehu was a commander known for his speed, cunning, and fearlessness. He raced his chariot toward Jezreel, where King Joram was recovering from battle wounds. When Joram rode out to meet him, Jehu declared, "What peace, so long as Jezebel's witchcrafts and idolatries are so many." Realizing Jehu had been anointed for judgment, Joram fled. Jehu shot an arrow that struck the king in the back, killing him instantly. He then rode to the palace where Jezebel lived. Inside, the queen heard Jehu approaching. Still proud, still regal, she prepared herself. She painted her eyes, arranged her hair, and stood by the window. To her, this was not an act of vanity. It was a final display of royal dignity. She wanted to meet death as a queen, not a fugitive. As Jehu entered the gate, she called out mockingly, "Has Zimri come, who murdered his master?" Jehu looked up at her and shouted, "Who is on my side?" Several of her own eunuchs appeared behind her. In a moment that shattered Jezebel's aura of power, they threw her from the window. She crashed to the ground, blood spattering the wall and the horses. Jehu trampled her underfoot as he entered the palace. Later, when Jehu sent servants to bury her, for she was a king's daughter, they returned with only her skull, feet, and hands. The dogs of Jezreel had consumed the rest, fulfilling the prophecy given through Elijah many years earlier. With Jezebel's death, the dynasty of Ahab collapsed, and Baal worship in Israel suffered a devastating blow. Jehu destroyed the temple of Baal, wiping out the priests who had once dominated the kingdom. The land slowly returned to the worship of the Lord, but Jezebel's legacy did not fade. Over time, her name became a symbol, not merely of a queen who worshipped idols, but of a spirit of rebellion, manipulation, and pride. She was a woman of strength and courage, yet driven by ambition and hardened by belief in her own supremacy. Her story stands as a warning about the destructive power of unchecked authority, spiritual corruption, and the belief that one can stand against God without consequence. And so, the story of Jezebel lives on, dramatic, tragic, and unforgettable, a tale carved into the history of Israel, echoing across generations as a reminder that no kingdom built on injustice can stand, and no power raised against truth can endure forever.